Hello, everyone. Today I have with me Gunnar Habitz, an author of 27 books. He began his professional journey as a tour guide and authoring a series of 17 tour guide books with German publishers. His travel articles have been featured in magazines and newspapers across Switzerland, Austria, Republic, Germany, and Australia. In recent years, Gunnar has focused on social selling and LinkedIn strategies. His recently published book, Connect and Act, provides insights into leveraging LinkedIn for professional growth. His mission is to help professionals and organizations to connect and engage with their network, both online and offline, emphasizing the importance of building strong relationships in the digital age. Welcome, Gunnar.
Hi, Nira. Thanks to be here.
Let's start the conversation about your writing journey. How did you get into writing and what were you doing before writing?
I would say before writing, I wasn't born. Kidding. So I started learning. I started.
Right.
I started the writing journey actually with reading. I think I've been curious about reading with the age of 4 and maybe 5.
Mhm.
And during high school, where I've been rather a shy introvert, I recognized that writing is a good way to express my thoughts.
Mhm.
I had, unfortunately, a very bad day when it comes to what in Australia is called the high school certificate or Abitur in Germany. And this bad day, my teacher then said, "Hey, I know you can do better. You've done great stuff over the last 2 years. I see that one day you will write a book." I can still even recall where we both stood outside of the school when I got the sentence.
Mhm.
So it was a good idea. And then I started to write and publish articles because I've been curious in computers when I've been young. The first one article I wrote, I think still before or just turning 18. I had to
Mhm.
even get it. I think I published it just beforehand. So then I had to get signature from my parents that I'm allowed to write something there.
Mhm.
As a computer programmer was a nice way to get started. At university, when I studied my Master of Computer Science, my professor said, "Gunnar, you will never have an academic career." I said, "Why not?"
Mhm.
Because I've been involved and I liked it in research. I've spent countless hours in libraries. And he said, "I see what you're writing. It's too bloomy, too flowerish, too practical. It should be dry."
Mhm.
Okay. Then not academic, but I don't stop writing. So
Mhm.
that's how that started. And at the same time, I've been a tour guide. It was nice to go to London, Venice, Amsterdam, Prague. And I realized that most tour guide books are outdated, not really good. And I sent to one publisher a couple of suggestions. Say, "Hey, whenever you have a larger edition, please involve me." Well, that would be good. And that's how I got my first 2 books started.
Mhm.
And then I recognized that the real power in that sense is not necessarily in having a book, but what to do with it.
Mhm.
Not book 3, 4, 5, 6, but rather to be featured in glossy travel magazine.
Mhm.
But they would always say, "Write somewhere else beforehand that we can see what you do. And then maybe you can knock at our doors." And one day the person who said that from a leading German travel magazine, 3 years later, she came back. That "We see what you do. We saw your 2 books. And can you please write the feature story about Prague for our magazine?" That's how it
Mhm.
got started. I started.
Wow. And let me clarify a few things. You are born in Australia and
No, in
no,
Germany.
in Germany. Okay, so this all happened in Germany
Yep.
while you were studying and your teacher
Yep.
put you aside and said, you better write a book.
That was in Germany. And then I moved end of 90s into Switzerland. So
Mm-hmm.
my advanced, today I would call it maybe executive MBA, but therefore it was called back then only advanced studies in business administration. I've done it in Switzerland, worked there, worked for Swiss travel magazines as well. And that
Mm-hmm.
kind of dictated even our travel plans. They said, "Can you go to Canada, to Vancouver?" Yes, of course. So that's how I
When did
came
you
to
come to
72 countries.
So when did you come to Australia? When did you migrate to Australia?
I came to Australia in November 2016. But my
Mm-hmm.
first trip to arrive is pretty much 9 years ago. So when we recorded now, it was 9 years ago, at end of January, I came first time to Australian waters. My wife and I spent 3 months traveling across New Zealand with this one week in Sydney, Hobart, Melbourne, Sydney, and that was the make or break who decide to come here.
Okay. So now you call Australia home.
Yes.
Good to hear that. You wrote first travel guidebooks.
Nice,
That
colorful. That's in
excellent.
German.
Okay. So, how did your travel writing experience shape your approach to writing other books? Because I know you have written many other books and different genres.
Yeah, that's a good point. So first of all, I attended before even the travel books, I attended a seminar of the local newspaper owners. And
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to show back in Germany, they wanted to show that the spokespeople of clubs, any type of club who sends the press release in, which are normally only about the club, but not about the reader. So
Mm-hmm.
this type of weekend seminars shaped my passion to get into journalism, to do a bit
Mm-hmm.
of self-study on that. And what I learned from travel book writing is particular, it's all on format. I have no chance to change something. So when
Mm-hmm.
there's one page which has a layout written of this, including photos, it
Mm-hmm.
must fit.
Mm-hmm.
So they would say, we had to cut your last paragraph, but the text should still work.
Mm-hmm.
That got me in a different way of writing on format. When I know the typical page is 1800 characters, I don't consider words, but characters. And then I
Mm-hmm.
can measure so that the work for the editor is less.
Mm-hmm.
That works better in terms of timing. So it's not just writing for the reader, it's writing for the editor as well, particularly when I know them. But
Mm-hmm.
then I know that they do a little bit of better magic in terms of the words, but I
Mm-hmm.
try to fit it in. Travel
Mm-hmm.
books are often reprinted 2, 3 years later as a new edition.
Mm-hmm.
Then it pays even more money so that I can then review and go back to the place and research more about it. So I would write my books in a way that they're easier updatable for me. And this way shape my way of writing instead of the fiction writer who writes a novel, which
Mm-hmm.
can be 200 pages, 250 pages, or 160, just about to flow. That's not the case here. It's really
Mm-hmm.
on format. It was an
Mm-hmm.
interesting learning to get more precise.
Mm-hmm.
And I came out of this one with the concept to write in series. Let's say on LinkedIn, I'm writing for 323 weeks in a row. That took
Mm-hmm.
more than 6 years. I'm writing every week about the same topic with the
Mm.
same type of formula. And what I want to write is that it's practical and you can have a takeaway from it.
Excellent. Okay, I will get into LinkedIn a bit later. We'll try and learn the formulas from you. But what is your writing process like? Do you follow a structured routine, particular time of the day, or a few hours a week, or do you write whenever you have something, some inspiration and muse strike?
Yeah, it's a mix of, let's say for 80%, I'm writing knowing knowing my own body.
Mm-hmm.
So there are people who are
Mm-hmm.
working in a traditional 9 to 5 job, and I have my best creativity from 7 to 9, from 5 to 7, and from
Mm-hmm.
9 to 11 p.m. So then these are the times when writing is best. So this means as I work in corporate in the IT side, I
Mm-hmm.
write before. The power of having written 45 minutes in the morning before getting into work, that's massive. So then I already arrive in my workspace, which is also at home, but I write by the mindset of working with
Mm-hmm.
the feeling of achievement that gets me much better through the day instead of
Mm-hmm.
not spending the time wisely. When it comes to shorter pieces, I
Mm-hmm.
ride them very often on public transport. So I decided not to drive, but utilize the bus or the ferry that go anyway. There's just one more person in it instead of taking another car, full size of a car on the Sydney Harbour Bridge. And that makes an advantage that I can utilize short form biking either directly into LinkedIn, into Notion as a note taking app or anything like this, because I have a kind of a scrapbook of thoughts and ideas that I can utilize at a later stage as well. And that need to be noted. So that's normally that. When I wrote a book like my Connect and Act book, I
Mm-hmm.
played a reverse engineering process that I created a concept first, but then I thought about where will I end up with that? So then I realized I will hit, maybe when I really started writing, it was this time in 2023, 2 years ago, I realized that 3 months after that would be my birthday. I thought, okay, birthday is the best day for a book launch.
Mm-hmm.
And that got me motivated and put down like on a spreadsheet that I knew what's the progress per day in terms of words and characters, what's the
Mm-hmm.
progress in terms of the chapters
Mm-hmm.
or sub chapters, and then the progression. Where would I be? The projection of this one. So
Mm,
do I need to take a day off or spend a rainy weekend at home writing? So
mm,
really reverse engineering so that I land up not on the book launch, but when does the printer need to get it so that then the first editions, the first 50 books for the launch are printed. So
mm.
that it's, yeah, it's a reverse engineering process.
Okay, so you actually touched a bit on my next question, but here is another question I wanted to ask you. You have written books on different topics other than travel books. You've written business books, and you have written, I think it was a crossword book you were showing me earlier. Yep.
That was
Uh,
fine.
how do you decide on a book idea? What criteria do you use to determine whether it's a topic worth writing about?
Very good question. So I strongly believe a book helps someone on the authority side. I can write about hundreds of books using AI to just put my name and get them out and have Amazon full of that.
Mm-hmm.
But do I really have the expertise on things? No, not necessarily, because a book is not just only to have a book. It's not even only to get some royalties, but rather it should fit into a personal brand. So
Mm-hmm.
when I came to Australia, learned about strategic networking and the power of LinkedIn, which is not necessarily the case in German-speaking countries. So then I recognized I can learn from that. I became a kind of an expert. I even worked for 3 years at Hootsuite, which is a leading social media management platform, and learned a lot from there. So it was worth that the experience that I had, the personal brand relating to this,
Mm-hmm.
to simply add it with a book. So there I can write about it. If there's something else where I have no real expertise about, that
Mm-hmm.
makes it difficult. Sometimes I play with my name. So if somebody talks about developing good habits, I would normally comment like, I write habits with a Z at the end because that's my last name. And of course, I thought one day I can create my own book, let's say Happy Habits or whatever it is. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in that field of this type of content. So therefore, it would be nice, but no, I don't put it on. So then I also have been quite active as a mentor and masterclass speaker and leadership at the Institute of Managers and Leaders, IML in Australia. So
Mm-hmm.
then I wrote shorter parts, let's say, for a chapter book or an anthology. So then for quite a while, I've been blogging in that area. So that would be another thing where I have drive. When I know there's a topic that I have expertise on, I have appetite to learn well,
Mm-hmm.
and an outlook of writing for it for the next 3 to 5 years, then it makes sense. But I cannot do too many things at once. So
Mm-hmm.
I turn my social selling or LinkedIn related expertise a bit broader from digital marketing and branding point of view,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily make me a sales book author. One day that book will come as well.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So, and that's what actually I was getting into, because this is what I have written, how I have written my books as well. If I'm interested to learn a topic, I start learning about it, implement what I learn, and then I start writing about it. Most of the time, I start writing while I'm learning, because at that point when you're learning something, you are closer to your reader who want to learn about your topic as well. You're not an expert. So writing from a learner's point of view is a very good way of writing books. At least this is what I think. I'm happy to hear that you actually are using the same approach.
Yes, I take it on a scale of 1 to 10. So if there is a topic, let's say, talk about habits, the book Atomic Habits from
Mm,
James Clear.
mm,
Let's take him on stage 9 or 10 out of 10 on
mm,
expertise on that topic. So
mm,
if anyone else want to tap into the learning of creating better habits and they're on step 1 or 2,
mm,
if they want to reach out to, let's say, a mentor, a trainer, buy a course from someone
mm,
and connect with a person, that James Clear might not be the right one
mm,
because he's that far away, or
mm,
Simon Sinek for leadership, all these kind of gurus. But
mm,
when you describe your journey on the same topic, how you learn, then you demonstrate your journey from level 1 to level 3,
mm,
maximum maybe 4. So then for your reader, you are reachable. So
mm,
that gets you one thing, which you want outside of royalties, and that is engagement with readers. That
mm.
doesn't necessarily come that much when you're on level 10. Yes, everyone's writing about, but then you get millions of comments. So that you can't engage with it. But when you are level 3 or 4, and
Mhm.
then you bring people from 1 to 3 up, so that makes sense. Therefore, I hear your approach and feel that it's very valuable. On the LinkedIn side, there are some gurus who have beautiful books, and those who help on the career side, for example, that's not my part. So therefore, I'm a bit more practical, technical on the level 4 to 5, but I can help those to level up as well.
Mm, mm. Okay, so is there any challenges you faced when writing or publishing your books? Anything stands out?
Yes, sometimes I want to develop too many ideas at once.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of starting with the camera in mind because I
Mm-hmm.
believe in using the power of manifestation
Mm-hmm.
so that I know I see myself, I physically see myself at the book launch, for example, and that is a driving factor to say, but then it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I organize the stage. This is the people I want to invite on it. So that the only consequence is to write the book. Then I developed too many ideas. So then for my LinkedIn book, which is typically targeting small business professionals, not necessarily corporate salespeople, that's only one side of it. And then I found myself job hunting for quite a while due to layoffs. So
Mm-hmm.
then I thought I'd simply create a version of the same book for job seekers. And then I thought now being also helping and coaching startups, I thought, okay, I create a version for LinkedIn for startup. And bang, the cover is there. It will be the same book, but a different type of flavor, to say, more suitable,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 80% similar content, 20% completely different. And
Mm-hmm.
the challenge is then to focus on too many books at once doesn't work. So I really need to get into this one. And my
Mm-hmm.
personal challenge, the
Mm-hmm.
best way for me to write it is to be clear on the concept, the book after,
Mm-hmm.
and then I write today's book that I have to finish.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because otherwise I'm writing my current book and think about the next book. So that's not good. I need to have the next book concept laid out. I don't know. That's how it will be
Mm-hmm.
in a stage that is, let's say, approvable if it would be someone who needs to approve. So that
Mm-hmm.
then I can say, okay, that next stream is set. Perfect. And then I do the current one. It comes from one thing. When I wrote one or two, possibly even two of those per year,
Mm-hmm.
I found out the best time to go to publishers and offer another book project is not after I finish,
Mm-hmm.
but while I'm writing, because otherwise the delay for the next one takes too long.
Yes, yes. So
Uh,
this is like they say in the fiction writing that they say you need to have 3 book series at least and have the story figured out for 3 books. It's same you're applying for the nonfiction, basically.
yeah, at least for the next one after, because otherwise I'm developing the idea what could come next. And that sometimes there will be versions of this one. I've done this yeah, once I had it. Yeah, it was funny. 10 years ago, I woke up. Was exactly 10 years ago, in end of 2014. I woke up on Christmas Day in
Mm-hmm.
the night, still in the night, and had the idea, a plot for crime novel. I love reading them. I never wrote. I
Mm-hmm.
wrote maybe a little bit. And that idea I wrote down on paper, went back to bed. I didn't even switch on the light. The next morning I found this paper and thought, oh, that it's a good thing. So then I wrote 15,000 words maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but it never saw its light. But then I got a coaching session with a writing coach who was actually my favorite crime novel writer from Austria.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very good. He really took it like a job interview. He told me exactly what you said. You need to have book three, book 2 and 3 by principle covered, that you know what's all about. And that is a book about coffee. So then I thought, okay, and then I do another one. I write a series where the book 0 that doesn't exist and will never exist, but the one that takes the story in it is a book about sausage. And then the one I write is about coffee. And the next one would be about spirits, because there in Northern Germany, in that city where I grew up, these are things that you can buy with the specialties over there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote the whole journey based on 4 books.
Mm-hmm.
And in each of the 4 books, how you call it, not a detective, it's a journalist actually, the protagonist, she would nearly die in every book
Mm-hmm.
to have patterns in it. And so I always said, if I had time, I would simply write it. But this place in Germany is very highly localized. And I
Mm-hmm.
missed because it placed near a football club and they had 125th year anniversary last year and totally missed out. One day it will happen.
Mm. Okay, so you were before the interview. There's one idea I really picked up from your earlier answer that you like to visualize a cover of the book and you want to get it done first before you start writing, so that you can use it as a motivation as well as the way to manifest it. So you were showing me earlier, you have your books with you and their covers, they're pretty much easy to create. Are you creating them yourself? And the first
Ye-
question. And second is that, can you show it to the listeners?
I can, and let me grab just another one because what I'm also doing, I have a newsletter on LinkedIn where I review books from other authors,
Mm-hmm,
including an interview of 7 questions, always the same type of format. I called it Learn from Books. I
mm-hmm,
started it many years ago and put it on LinkedIn as
mm-hmm,
regular newsletters in maybe, I think in 22, September 22. And one of them that I wrote about is this beautiful book called Listen, Innovate, Grow
mm-hmm,
for Michael Habitz. I really like that. And
mm-hmm,
what that does on the cover, it has a journey across the chapter with 4 images.
mm-hmm,
I like that. And this type of tall letters and a lot of white on it. I
mm-hmm,
really enjoyed that. And due to reading this in the meantime, I know the author quite well. And then I thought thought of this book cover. And
mm-hmm,
from another American author, I put it into AirTask, which is a bit like Fiverr, but I think it's an Australian platform to find someone.
mm-hmm,
But to be honest, it started actually with, I wanted to have illustration for my fairy tale book,
mm-hmm,
this one. And I
mm-hmm,
wanted this to be like a kind of a drawing. I
mm-hmm,
gave a photo, was a drawing. And I found it as a children book illustrator,
mm-hmm,
an Argentinian lady. It
mm-hmm.
was during COVID time. I thought she's in Argentina. No, she's living 12 kilometers from here. The world is small. Yeah, exactly. Argentina. And that was nice. And then when I wanted to write my business book connected, I gave her the idea of
Mhm,
the other book to
mhm,
come up with 4 thoughts because my book has 4 chapters with a
mhm,
lot of write and letters. And then back and forth over 2 weeks, we came up then with this one. So she has done
mhm,
all of the illustrations. Can you see
mhm.
this here with,
Yes, yes.
with the people and what we have also that
Mhm,
represents more type of people. That's how
mhm,
to complete the profile, how to connect with different type of people, how to write content, how to connect. These are the 4 chapters. And
mhm,
then once I had that, I thought
mhm,
I can use it for other things as well. So the
mhm.
job seeker version for this one, that looks pretty similar. I only
Yep,
came up with to
yep.
have now an image instead of the 4 because that would be the same.
Mm,
And then I realized that I wrote shorter stories in the past,
mhm,
published in anthologies or even not, or only for the book. And I took the same type of cover, it's
mhm,
the German version, don't have the English at the moment here, but
mhm.
with an image in between. And over time, these type of
Yep.
images, they might change until I got the
Mhm,
final publication. And of
mhm.
course, I try to align the colors as I go. And for the next 4 books of ideas, the covers are done. The cover comes first.
Okay, so you get them made beforehand.
I do, yeah.
Okay, good. This is something I'm going to actually borrow from your writing process. I used to wait for the cover till the end so that I know what I want to call the book and what it should look like. But I think it's a much better idea and makes the writing process much quicker if you have the cover ready and you know what you're going to write about. At
Yeah, I
least
think
you're locking in.
yeah, exactly. And it might be only 90% correct, but if you are,
Mm-hmm,
when you know you're traveling, so you're in Canberra, if you want to go down to Melbourne
mm-hmm,
and you don't have in your mind your steering wheel from the car,
mm,
but rather a picture in your mind where you will go and what you will see over there. So then
mm,
similar thing, when I see this, it's coming, I can
mm,
even print it out and put it there at the wall. Then
mm-hmm,
I know what I'm heading to. I can share it with some people. Hey, I'm writing on this one.
mm-hmm,
And particularly in my books, typically, it's not just me writing. I add the voices of other experts from a more aspect of collaboration. And I would
mm-hmm,
like to share them. Hey, something's coming. This is how it might look like to have a direction. And then I get already early feedback as
mm-hmm,
well. So that's a good thing. And somebody said recently, why did you take these clock? What is the purpose finding work with this clock? I said, have a look at the time. It's 5 to 12.
mm-hmm,
And if you face like those in corporate roles that face a layoff, what can they do? It's really time to get the act together so that it came. And of course, there's the pointer for the seconds is red. So I had to find a red that works and that corresponds with the blue from which is coming from LinkedIn. So there's always a view in the colors that makes sense. And
Mm-hmm.
what I like when then one day, I have maybe a dozen of books and they all look quite similar. That's what I love
Yeah,
to
that's what
achieve.
you're aiming for. All right.
Yeah.
While we are on this, your book, Connect and Act, on the topic of this book, which is about social selling. So, can you please define what social selling is and how authors, people like us who write books but don't know how to market them, how can we use social selling to market our books?
Can I share that? I have actually,
Sure,
I have
sure.
a couple of slides on that one. There's
Yep.
not a much of text on it, but that's, I try to get to that one more. Let me share maybe this. Let me know when you can see.
Yes, I can see it. Yep.
Yeah, in my normal sentence, social selling is a clever approach of using social media and digital tools to enhance business conversation. The term
Mm-hmm.
social selling in relation to LinkedIn comes from the corporate sales word. It's been coined maybe some 15 years ago. But of course, we do not sell on LinkedIn. Social media in general is more the top of the funnel. So it had
Mm-hmm.
to attract an audience, but
Mm-hmm.
then you need to turn it further. But in order to make that really happen, I thought there's a process of 4 steps. And that's how I also have it in my book. The
Mm-hmm.
fourth step, and I put it based on Lego bricks. And that is actually something that came on the last day before submitting the book. I always thought one day I need to paint and draw on Lego, but I found a model how I can create it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
4 steps. The first one I call complete. You complete your LinkedIn profile. You can
Mm-hmm.
even transform the idea to Substack or to Facebook or whatever, but you
Mm-hmm.
complete it. And that you see it is quite a tall type of
Law.
brick blocks,
Mm-hmm.
but I build them towards the right, which is a timeline. It's don't build them towards the top and
Mm-hmm.
north, because then you have the feeling you stand in front of a mountain that only gets bigger. But if I put it towards the right, then you see it's a time, so I can get better over time. But first, I do this. There's a couple of things that the profile looks good, and it doesn't for most authors,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. So then the next one, I need to connect with the right level of people, but it's meaningless if the profile doesn't tell anything, if it looks really below average. And how many seconds to have HR people to read a CV? 6 seconds? For
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, 2 seconds are enough to figure out if they really position themselves well or not. Even starts with the background image. The
Mm-hmm.
best real estate in social media. And then the next one is content.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to drive content, of course, we do it because we want to get engagement, not ghost and post. Sorry, other way around. Post and ghost doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have done that, content is basically that marketing aspect to it, because you talk to an audience in public.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we want to get is engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And the engagement we can convert into into the offline mode, or let's say into the off, that nobody sees it, out of the public into private, into direct messaging. But we need to earn the right of having a conversation in the first place. So that is where all these 4 steps work together. I like it's 4 times C. And in my book, because I've been posting about this for all these years, I grabbed basically 10 topics each. I realized the posts are too short, so I enhanced it with a bit more substance. And
Mm-hmm.
then it came out to be 40 topics on double pages that you can really take it in practice. You open the book wherever you want. You always have 2 pages. You read why you need to do something, how to do it, which are the
Mm-hmm.
4 steps to make it happen, and off you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I add one at the beginning, one at the end to make it 42, my favorite number.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And as a cover, it looks good. I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, yeah, it does look good. Very nice cover. Wow. Okay. So you are basically taking LinkedIn as an example, but it can be used on any social media. So you're talking about making connections and not trying to sell on social media, but make connections and make friendships. Is that the approach?
Yes, particular, and that can of course change over time, because particular for those who are changing their roles, which happened to me. So I carry a lot of professionals with me that I met maybe when I came to Australia 8 years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
you always meet them again, particularly when there's a good connection there. You meet someone again, the first thing you try to connect on LinkedIn and find out, oops, we're already connected. How can that be? I never met that person. So that's not good. So better to have a real hook message somewhere sitting in there,
Mm-hmm.
because what most people don't get, LinkedIn messaging is an underrated search engine.
Mhm.
And like you do SEO for websites so that Google can show the
Mhm.
work of SEO, not that the website might be good, but at least it pops up.
Mm.
Same thing here when I say, who did I meet at a masterclass about presenting
Mm.
in Sydney? And then I type only 2 or 3 keywords into the messaging part.
Mhm.
And if I plant it in advance in a message between 2 people, then I
Mhm.
can find it because over time,
Mhm.
there are people who have perfect memory, but it might get a little bit down. I'm
Mm.
very good in remembering faces. I'm quite good in remembering names, and I'm horrible in the combination.
Mm.
So in Australia, I can see at someone who I'm meeting and, hi, mate, good to see you again. And then slowly I can look at the name tag, where they actually are, who they
Mm.
are.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's difficult when you don't remember who they are.
Mm.
So therefore, a conversation, quickly check up and realize,
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, and I write there and have built a decent following over there. What I've observed over there is that main focus of people on LinkedIn are twofold. One, they want to increase their follower numbers, and second, they want to sell something, whatever their services or product is. Even if they have 4,000, 5,000 people following them, they don't really know them. They don't make effort to get to know them. Rather, their whole energy goes towards writing more content so that they can keep on increasing their follower number. For some reason, follower number is the trophy everybody wants to get. It's the bigger you have, the more successful you are on LinkedIn. What's your take on that?
I had a look at the graphs of my follower growth on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
and connection growth. And there's one thing which I like. Because I'm not a fan of just adding randomly people. I have
Mm-hmm.
a backlog of 113 who want to connect with me.
Mm-hmm.
Typically 90% don't put a reason on. When I don't see it, then sorry, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
When they don't have suitable content, when it's totally unclear, but
Mm-hmm.
well, the hidden agenda, I have maybe 12,000 followers. So then they would like to connect with me, which makes my first grade connection their second.
Mm-hmm.
And the money is in the second grade, not in the first grade. And I do
Mm-hmm.
not want that. I need to protect you and all others in my network. So I'm playing the gatekeeper here, and that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It actually also changes over time by the algorithm. If you connect with someone fresh,
Mm-hmm.
then the likelihood they get my content over the
Mm-hmm.
next 2 weeks is higher than those who I connect with for 5 years. That is part of the whole game. So
Mm-hmm.
then the key is to have the right level of people that you can make a difference with,
Mm-hmm.
that you're in a mutual journey at that moment to have them close. And one
Mm-hmm.
way how to achieve this is to do coffee meetings. I have a series called 42 Coffees and on LinkedIn where I meet nearly everyone, someone and share that. I'm now at episode 60, so it's more than 42, but I thought 42 within a year is possible. Or
Mm-hmm.
otherwise I meet people over Zoom and
Mm-hmm.
then can figure out not how to sell to them, but how can the discussion of two people have a meaningful outcome in 2 directions. How
Mm-hmm.
can I help you? What can I learn from you? And
Mm-hmm.
what of that can be relevant and meaningful to my network? Can I introduce you to someone
Mm-hmm.
that it helps them because you might be able to help them? I can't. So then that's all. And the pleasure is in the connection to see that something is going on. It's not just only in on a, what I would call rather on a writing or side business type of thing, but even in a corporate role, where most people would then click on connect and forget. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't like that. I rather try to put meaningful connections. You might remember we had the mobile phones from Nokia and they had this slogan connecting people. And that is for me all about.
Mm, mm, mm. So all this noise about having bigger follower numbers and requests, sending lots of connection requests is not useful if you don't have the right people as your followers and you are not connecting with the right people. It actually harms you rather than benefits you. Eh,
Yeah, and I take it by a strange response to the typical question. Some people say, should we focus on quantity or quality?
Hmm.
The question is wrong. It is not an either or.
mm,
change one letter,
mm,
quantity or quality, and change
okay.
from or into of. We
Mhm,
need to have quantity,
mm,
many,
mm,
of quality, many of the right level of people.
mhm,
And that gets me into one word, which is density. If I have a meaningful, relevant network, I
mm,
can help with, their
mhm,
content is something that I like to engage with,
mhm,
then that's good. I do
mhm,
not need to have a viral post. So I had those for 150,000 plus views.
mhm,
Nice, but not my people.
mm,
What does it have? 25 people shared it further. So what?
mm,
Who are they?
mm, mm. And this applies for Substack as well. Same thing is happening in Substack now. Lots of people are going for growth, regardless of who their subscribers are and whether they're a right readers or audience or not, and whether they are even reading their Substacks, because people are subscribing for the sake of subscribing, but they're not
Yeah.
reading. Thank you for sharing that. So I have a set of questions which I'm dying to ask you, Gunnar, which is regarding the book, not as a source of income, but book being able to do a lot of things for you. You were saying that your book has opened lots of gates for you. Tell me about it.
Mhm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
mm,
And that was also one of the reasons to write these books, not just to have something published which are already blogs. I know a book can give more authority and expertise
mhm,
in a different recognition compared to having published an online course.
mm,
In the past, 20 years ago, a publisher once told me, you cannot publish by yourself because that proves that you cannot publish as a real publisher. Don't do that. It
mm,
destroys your brand. Today, everything is completely different. We can publish books by ourselves. So that's a good thing. And also good for publishers that they can recognize, oh, apparently they build their own following. We would like to have them as our author. And I
mm,
saw this here on Substack with Veronica Locke-Smith, who published by herself first, and then Penguin recognized that actually would be a great author for them to have.
mm,
So my point of that one is also to monetize, as
mhm,
I've done with my travel books, where the majority of the money didn't come from those books,
mhm,
because I'm not paid by the royalties. They maybe print tens of thousands, but it's more a piece of labor,
mhm,
which is paid at the beginning, part of it when I deliver, when it's out, whatever thousands of dollars, then that part is done. But
mhm,
I'm not based on the success of the book.
mhm,
People don't buy it from me. But what I learned there, the book was an entry ticket to have all of the more fancy travel magazines. I went to press trips to, let's say, for the launch of the movie Da Vinci Code back in the days, to Paris,
mhm,
to have access to things I normally don't have that I can utilize. So that was on the travel side of it. Today with business book writing, it's a similar thing. I could, in theory, have services.
mm,
Think what I'm a financial planner. I would have my financial business that would run well, but I would recognize I'm missing something to convert to the funnel from top to the bottom. I can have a freebie there. I can have a $7 ebook,
mm,
but the real published book gets the authority, particularly when I will be able as an author to have create my own type of niche around.
mm,
And that helps to convert further into a service. So the
mhm,
funny thing, which was not funny actually, 2 weeks after I published my LinkedIn book, and
mm,
I worked full time in corporate at a software vendor, then where even colleagues came to the launch. 2 weeks later, the company had to lay off of some people, and me only being the 9 months I've chosen. So then, when the market of job hunting was a bit more challenging,
mhm,
what should I do? I had this book out. I had time. I have expertise on that. So I then started to get doors open to deliver trainings or programs with clients, which I normally would either not have the time for, they would not consider me. And even one person who attended the book launch who said, hey, now I know actually what you're doing. Can you do this for my company? I would say, "Well, I just have a little bit more time at hand than normal. So let's do something bigger." And
mm,
the book earned me 30 times more consulting dollars than royalties, despite royalties are 4 digit,
mhm,
6, 4, but still. And that showed me when you have a book and you have an expertise over
mhm,
time, and the book basically supports that, then you can do something around that. So therefore, I say even in my own program that I have, write your book backwards to
Mm,
have this, you manifest not only the launch, but
mm,
also the conversion. You take it
mm,
like a complete funnel-related story. So then
mhm,
you write your book with more purpose of usage, not just for dollars, but
mm,
nonfiction writers often write a book because they would like to help people.
mm,
So we can
mhm.
cross that motivation with the monetization aspect.
Okay, that's very interesting. So you created a course based on your book, or you created a course, and because you had a book out, it was easy to sell that course.
Funny enough, I first created an online course about social selling.
Mm-hmm.
In order to make that, I created a meetup group just before COVID that you can go there and all of this
Hmm.
to gain feedback, to gain visibility on the expertise that I started writing about. And
Hmm.
then I worked at Hootsuite and realized I can put it a little bit better together into a program. I created that program. I gave trainings. I created a course and the course became the book. And even the title, Collect and Act, I had it as a publisher name long before I found it for the book. But
Hmm.
then it was clear that I could take it for there. Yeah, that was basically the order. I had the course. The course became the book. The book, of course, is much more relevant now. I need to create a new course for that after a
Okay,
while.
great. That's legendary. Other than a course, what other products have you created from your book? Is there anything else you have?
Yeah,
Uh,
I actually have. I have done a 30-day challenge in a corporate world that I've done with a couple of companies. The
mhm,
most notable I'm not allowed to talk to is the big competitor of Canva with red
mhm,
colors, where you have shops with photos of, but I'm not allowed to share the real names. You can guess which company that is. No, I've done this for a handful of companies to get them through the journey of these 4 steps I showed earlier with a
mhm,
group of people. So that means also I would analyze their profiles. I would analyze and take little video shoots about that. Say, hey, I go through your profile. I see, please change here. That's actually not a good idea. I like what you do here. And that's how you can improve.
mhm,
And that these I've done for a range of companies.
mhm,
And that led into one nice success story of one person who worked at a company called Aircall. That is a voice over IP phone software.
mhm,
When they started here in Sydney, they reached out and if I can do it for them. And that colleague there, Veronica Fernandez, she really took it well on getting the authority level by herself. So that
mhm,
not only she has a page of the expertise in my book, but
mhm,
also she got onto podcasts to speak with known sales book authors. So that was really, it was opening door for her. Then for
mhm,
me, besides the money, it's nice to see that this type of group mentoring actually has been helpful. And she,
mhm.
therefore, not only got visibility, but that was a killer reason or the key reason that she got promoted in the company twice.
You you have not only been able to sell your courses and your other products or challenges, but you are also connecting more and at a higher level probably, which you would not have been able to without a book. Amazing. Okay, I need to ask you a bit more about LinkedIn content writing because that is something which many authors, book authors, they struggle with.
Mm.
What type of content should authors be writing on LinkedIn or Substack to attract their ideal reader or their audience, if not readers?
I think the key two words on that point, balance and relevant. So if I talk too much about buy my book,
Yeah.
not good. If I
Hmm.
don't do it, then if those who would love to read it, they
Hmm.
say, the author doesn't believe in it, they can talk about it.
Hmm.
For those writers who write on the side and have a corporate role, they often struggle in putting content on LinkedIn that looks like, oh, my boss is seeing this. I don't want that,
Hmm.
which today is nonsense. So I wouldn't accept
Hmm.
any of statement like that. So therefore, find the right way. Where are the target readers? If I would have continued on writing fairy tales, for example, which only when I started that, it was which one here, that was a Christmas gift from my wife. I wanted to give her something made by hand. The only thing by hand I can do is writing. So therefore the book came into existence. If I wanted to continue this journey, that would not be my Monday to Friday LinkedIn content. Need to be mindful when, which type of reader is reading and engaging with what type of content. And I learned this when I worked with Deloitte. There was one of their big leaders who talked all about their regularities on safety, on
Mhm.
workplace safety, which was his passion. And he
Mm.
posted it on a Saturday when nobody either was on the platform, or if so, then
Mhm.
they're waiting on the sausage at the barbecue. So they're not in
Mhm.
the mood of it. So you need to be mindful of time and mood of
Yeah.
readers when they can engage something. So
Mhm.
certain topics I would rather write on a Sunday evening when I
Mhm.
know that people come back from whatever
Mhm.
they've done on the weekend. They would like to read something, and then the engagement is much, much higher. So
Mhm.
that's important topic. So I would try to create a kind of a content strategy on how to make that happen, including also when a book is coming, gain pre-readers, tell about, and
Mhm.
not I wrote a book, but
Mhm.
rather my
Mhm.
readers
Mhm.
asked me to compile this thoughts now in form of a book. I'm
Mhm.
looking for a couple of test readers, and maybe they can also contribute to it. Completely
Mhm.
different type of mindset. And that was very much helping. So I try to do it more this way. Not only I have a new book and here's another 50% off. Occasionally you need to do this, but
Mhm.
be also mindful of the reflection of the content. So in a non-fiction way, let's say
Mhm.
someone is writing about a career book.
Mhm.
It's not about how good I am as a career coach, but
Mhm.
how did my investment help someone to change their lives? So I would
Mhm.
rather tell stories of others, how it
Mhm.
helped them, instead of showing that I'm the best one, which is more the
Mhm.
male sales rep LinkedIn approach.
That's really helpful. That was really good. Okay, we are reaching towards the end of the interview. One question I asked everybody is, what is your top three tips for writers looking to build their personal brand or monetize their books through LinkedIn or Substack? What three
So
tips would you give them?
tip number one, be the customer first.
Mm-hmm.
If I had an idea, I would go into a book like what I've done here on LinkedIn or social selling, whatever it is, a book about more business related topics. There are some other books and authors I follow. I
Mm-hmm.
particularly those which seem to be successful. I follow them. I buy their book. I engage with the content. I see patterns in a journey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm strong on finding out patterns so that you can then draw a conclusion how you create it. Number two, build
Mm-hmm.
your own journey before you even get something out. Oh, I have a book that's coming next week. Today, missed out. So design a mindful journey
Mm-hmm.
so that far long time before the launch it's ready. I'm currently helping my mom watching Paris coming next week. Germany book is out. Of course, now inviting all of the people, and was a long time in the making. So design the journey in advance. So that's this one. And then the third one is when it comes to more on the monetization, be mindful on the ideas what you can do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Constantly check how other authors try to publish it,
Mm-hmm.
monetize it, and get the feeling for it. If someone is constantly promoting it and say, hey, buy here and then you get this for that, and you feel uncomfortable to do by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
then don't do it too much. So rather always have the view of the reader and the buyer,
Mm-hmm.
what you can do. But on the other side, when it comes to monetizing, a book is just a book. If people read it,
Mm-hmm.
change and transformation doesn't come from reading the book, but from doing. Give something to it, add something to it. And it could be easily sitting in there. So my online course is here. The QR code to book it is here. So
Mm-hmm.
give them chances to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Posting content, but also in the book is need to lead to something. And of course, my in that sense, my tip, get people, grab their email address. LinkedIn is not everything, and have a meaningful newsletter.
Which you do have. So I think that's at this point I asked you, where can people find you and your books and your courses? How, if they want to follow your newsletter, where they can go?
Thank you. If they can write my name, it's on linkedin.com/il/Gunnar Habitz.
Mm-hmm.
I have my LinkedIn newsletter, which automatically comes when somebody follows me, then they get by the algorithm to ask to follow my LinkedIn newsletter called Learn from Books, where I learn from the books of others.
Hmm.
I'm on Substack. As I like to write in cafes, my Substack publication is called Writing in Cafes, a bit on purpose. And
Hmm.
I'm writing about monetizing book. And I'm currently creating a program which I call Writing a Book Backwards, because it has this reverse engineering manifestation approach in it, which
Hmm.
is part, which is, which will be a book,
Hmm.
similar language of this, but in black, and also a type of a course to that will be announced on my Substack.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. Your time and your generous ideas. It was such a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to implementing some of your ideas already. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nira. I'm looking forward to read your new book as well. I like that you also follow a similar pattern when it comes to the visually aspect of it. That tells me one thing. I need to have all of those in yellow.
Thank you.